Joe Cupcake. A guilty conscience needs to confess. A work of art is a confession. It was Joe's observation that during most of life, nothing was happening. And while nothing was happening, everything was happening. But Joe found his personal patch of nothing, delightful as it was to him, difficult to share. All the same, Joe wanted to talk, and wanted the illusion that he was talking to someone outside of himself. He wanted words and images to meld together, like dancing through the wall of a waterfall. Sex, God, art, guilt. That's what Joe thought about. He should have been thinking about money. Maybe he could sell ad space on his forehead. He took delight finding a vein of gold in a fragment of scrap. Joe valued what others did not. The church of art would be his salvation. Beauty was everywhere when the light was right, and Joe loved being alive. He loved breathing. God was breath. There was spirit in each exhalation. God in, God out. Unless his nose was stuffed. Joe's story was to include everything, even a portal of blue breaking through the clouds above the mountain, like a square in a Mark Rothko painting. Asked how close one should stand to his pictures, Rothko said, about 18 inches. Joe didn't need to be that close, but he liked to watch. He liked to peep through peepholes. He didn't want people looking at him. He disdained attention. He'd learned to blend, to be invisible. Joe thought he should have been more embarrassed than he was. On the other hand, Joe wanted to help others and do well whenever he could. He'd give a bum a buck, and he'd open doors for old ladies. He didn't scream in traffic or throw garbage out his window. He paid his taxes, and he bathed regularly. He could be your neighbor. Joe took copious notes, thoughts, observations, aspirations, even his recipe for glazed asparagus. He jotted all this into his journal. Everything went in. All the papers on his desk, shopping lists, and phone messages. He thought this would give a truer reading. He found some crumpled notes in a jacket and tossed them onto his desk. One read, "I like a girl who tests her lipstick on her sleeve." Another read, "Krishna on a billboard, a new god for the everyday girl, kissy pink." Then there were scrawled addresses: Paloma and Speedway, Pacific and Brooks, Pico east of Bundy, crime scenes, secret love nests. Where had Joe been? A pound of flesh is nothing when it is a bite at a time. And nothing wrong with him that $100 bill, some oyster crackers, and a breath mint couldn't fix. So proclaimed Joe's latest interior minister of sinister. Joe was wired like the new man everywhere, full of bogus dreams, manufactured visions, and erroneous ideas. The new gods didn't rise up from the soil or bolt down from the heavens. They came out of his TV. But when his mind was overwhelmed with static, he held a finger to his belly button and waited for direct revelation. The message came. Don't judge what has meaning and what does not. It's all God. Embrace. Thought Joe. Maybe, and maybe not. But the light never abandoned him. In Las Vegas, Joe was impressed with the electric monitors that were ubiquitous. At the front desk of the MGM Grand, the video showed everything happening in the hotel. In restaurants, video screens were used for design. On the street, it was like Blade Runner. Joe had a revelation, an epiphany. He saw a new metaphor for his mind. Before, it was a squirrel on a treadmill. Now he set about retrofitting his mental interior with video screens. Inside his new mind, it was action all the time, dancing ladies and men in tuxedos doing magic tricks. It was frantic, kaleidoscopic, chaotic, a choir of voices under an endless stream of images. There was Joe of his body, and there was Joe the size of a peanut, like the Wizard of Oz, running the command center. And there were bloated bureaucrats behind little Joe, doing their best to keep him on the straight and narrow, while their underlings scooted about with competing agendas, as if on the floor of some alien stock exchange. Their uniforms were pressed, tailored, sleek. Their halogen eyes lit up, and when agitated, their heads swiveled in circles. Despite Joe's overlords and their minions, it wasn't all business in the command center. Far from it. Joe liked things jovial, and there was often a parade of scantily clad showgirls streaking across the screens, all colors of the spectrum, all shapes and sizes, some from this planet, some from that.